LAFC have beat FC Dallas 1-0 to continue their winning streak, an unbeaten streak in 2026. They've started the MLS season 3-0, and they have yet to concede a goal in 2026. But this game was still a little underwhelming, and I still think there's some concerns for this team going forward. And we're going to break down what we saw in this game and why I'm still skeptical about LAFC on certain positions on the pitch. But before we get into that, make sure you guys like this video down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. Well, so the first half of this game was pretty lackluster, honestly. I thought FC Dallas looked pretty good in the first half, actually. They had a lot more shots. They had 6 shots and 3 shots on target. The LAFC 4 shots, 2 on target. But LAFC still just, I mean, they didn't score. None of these teams scored in the first half. I feel like we just keep seeing week after week that this team is missing creativity in the midfield. And, you know, the back line has been so good in 2026 so far. Tafari, Porches, Segura at left back, obviously, and Palencia has been a solid right back. And Hugo Lloris is a legend. We know that. But the midfield just is missing something. It's missing something, and this has been a theme since last year, and that's why I'm not. Even though they're winning, this is why I have concerns about this team. It's the magnitude of how they're winning, how they are winning these games. These games are not all of them are by a thread, but they're just concerns. Inter Miami, they beat 3-0. We know that. They beat Houston Dynamo 2-0, but that was after they got a red card, and it was 11 versus 10. Tonight, they really struggled against a Dallas team that's not very good. This Dallas team has one designated player, which is Peter Musa. So that's my concern for this team is what are they going to look like when they play a Vancouver Whitecaps? And we saw Son Heung-min have to come back again to get the ball, to try to get things going. It just looks like the attack is out of sync, and they couldn't create really any good chances in the first half. The chemistry we saw with Son Heung-min and Danny Bouanga doesn't look like as good as it did last year. For some reason, it doesn't look as good as it did last year. And I'm not really sure why. I mean, I would think with the attack, if it was better in the midfield, that would help. And Eustachio is probably their best creator in the midfield, but he is a defensive midfielder. They need other players to step up, and they can't just rely on him. David Martinez did some things in the first half, had a much better second half, in my opinion, but just they have to play more of an attacking style. They have to get some chances. I mean, we'll talk about Sonny in a little bit. We'll talk about how this team is still not setting him up, in my opinion. But either way, LAFC and Dallas go 0-0, scoreless in the first half. I thought Dallas was really threatening him in the first half. I thought they looked really good. They looked like they had that burst. They had that energy. They're playing on the road. Dallas is a scrappy team. They're not a big spending team. They don't have, like I said, they only have one DP. They're really a youth team, right? They're academy, but they're scrappy, and they've been very good this year. So the second half, we start off, no changes, right? No changes at all. Midfield, like I said, just very, very lackluster. I thought for sure that they would bring Boudry in because Boudry had a very good second half against Houston last week, and I thought that this was going to be the transition period where he is going to be a starter now, but apparently Mark Dos Santos does not want to start Boudry, and he did start. He started the second half on the bench as well, and we didn't see Boudry until like 70th minute. We'll talk about that in a second. But David Martinez did have a spectacular goal in the 55th minute, an absolute golazo. And that's why David Martinez is so frustrating, because he's 20 years old. He has a lot of talent. He's got a beautiful left foot. You saw it with the goal he scored. He's just not consistent. I like David Martinez quite a bit. I think he's got a lot of potential, but he's just has to play better, more consistently. He's got to be able to make the key passes. He's got to be able to win off the dribble. He's got to be able to do all these things more than just once in a while, right? And I do think he'll maybe put that all together as he gets a little bit older. But when he's starting, they need him because there's nothing else. They need him to create. He is probably the best creator outside of Eustachio on this team. Then starting 11, maybe Palencia is a little bit better, but Palencia is a right back. They need something a little bit further up that can create chances. So David Martinez gets him on the board in the 55th minute. They got the lead, and it just never felt safe. Like, it felt like Dallas was just creeping on them the whole entire night, getting closer and closer to scoring on them. Now, in the second half, LAFC did have 3 shots on target out of 4 shots, but Dallas had 9 shots and 2 on target. It felt like Dallas was just, it was a matter of if, not when, a matter of when, not if Dallas was going to tie this game up or take the lead. If it wasn't for heroic goalkeeping by Hugo Lloris, I think Dallas maybe would have won this game. In the second half, the expected goal rate for FC Dallas was 0.93 to LAFC's 0.76, doubled them in shots. I mean, this was probably the worst game that LAFC has played all year, and they still won, which is a good thing. But the question is how much longer is this going to last when they play other teams? Like I said, they're failing to get Danny Bouanga involved. They're failing to get Son Heung-min involved. Danny Bouanga did almost score a goal earlier tonight. He tried to karate kick it in. I want to say it was later in the second half. It was close, but Kalodi, FC Dallas's goalkeeper, was just playing out of his mind. But you can just tell there's some frustration in the attack. I think Sonny is frustrated as well because there's just not a lot of creativity around him. He's having to come back too deep. And he hasn't scored in the 2026 MLS regular season, which isn't his fault. He's just not getting any service. And even Danny Bouanga is not performing as good as he was last year, which I did think helped a little bit. Just a lot of underwhelming play. And if it wasn't for the back line, like I said, this game wouldn't have not even been close. And the whole thing was with Marc Dos Santos is that he took over and he was supposed to play a more appealing, attacking style. And the last 2 games has been the furthest from that. That has not been the case at all. They scored 3 goals in the last 2 games. They scored 1 goal tonight. It's been the defense that has saved this team, not the attack. So when they do play a team who's going to be able to score on them, I want to know how they're going to be able to create chances and how they're going to be able to score back and counter. I'm just not seeing it. I think that Tillman should not be starting. I've been saying this. I don't rate him. I don't think he's a good playmaker. There was a play tonight where I want to say it was in the first half, and he had his back turned, and there was a perfect run either by Sonny and Danny Bouanga, and he just didn't even look. He's not even paying attention. He's not looking to make the play. So just very lackluster. And look, they won. I understand. They won 1-0. So they got the 3 points, and I guess that's all that matters at the end of the day. But there are things you see that are concerning that are going to come up when they play better teams. They're going to have to play much better than what they're playing right now. And they have Champions Cup that's coming up on Tuesday night, which I'm not really worried about that. They're playing a Costa Rican team. And then the one concern I would have is that some of these guys, like their star players, Denis and Sonny, played a full 90 minutes, and they're going to have to turn around on Tuesday and play probably another 75 to 80 minutes. So wear and tear on them is going to start happening early in the season, which isn't good. But like I said, just a lot of frustrating. I came away from this game bored, like thinking like this is just very lackluster. Like nobody's really playing great except for the back line because they just can't set anything up or create any chances. I mean, in the total of the game, LAFC had 8 shots and 5 on target, and Dallas had 15 shots and 5 on target. But LAFC had the possession 61% of the time to Dallas's 39% of the time. So Dallas had the ball way less, which is not the normal case. Normally, LAFC has the ball less when they're playing their opponents. The first 2 games, that's how it's been. So LAFC had the ball 22% more, and they had 7 less shots than FC Dallas. So this is a concern. And they had 542 passes to FC Dallas's 300 passes. So they had the ball more which you would have thought would have led to more chances, which would have thought led to more shots. They just don't have the attack. So my player of the game for LAFC in this match, and probably in general, would be Hugo Lloris, because he's the guy that kept them in this. The back line was good and solid overall, but Hugo Lloris was the man of the match. He had several key saves in this game. And I think that the French legend, deserves a lot of credit for what he did tonight. I mean, hopefully he finally gets his recognition as a contender for goalkeeper of the year. But guys, look, I just have some concerns about this team. We'll see what happens. Hopefully Boudry gets the starting spot so we can see what he can do in a full 90 minutes with his team and help out. But and by the way, I thought that the Son Heung-min yellow card was BS. I don't know why they gave him that for simulation. When he felt, I think he got fouled, but they gave him a yellow, which is crazy. And there was that one dangerous challenge on Delgado, studs up. I don't know how that wasn't a red too. So the reffing wasn't very good either. But they're going to have to do better and try to set Sonny up and get him involved. He can't be playing so deep. He hasn't scored a goal in 2026 because the service has been failing him. They're going to have to change something. They got to put Boudry in, because even, like I said, that they're winning, there's still a lot of concerns. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do you agree or disagree with my analysis? Do you think that LAFC have some concerns even though they're winning? You let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.